Wow. So Dana White just dropped the ball. He's a week late since Francis Ngannou versus Tyson Fury because they were saying that, Dana's going to drop some hard-ass news after Ngannou just got all the shine from arguably beating Tyson Fury. You know what I'm saying? But Dana just gave us some crazy news, some exciting fight news. So just as we thought maybe Islam would do a quick turnaround and fight Oliveira in Toronto, which would have been lit, apparently he needs more time despite not taking any damage, getting in and out quick inside one round. That's not happening in Toronto. So when it seemed like all hope was lost and we're stuck with Rocky versus Myra, nope, we're good. We got Dricus Du-Plessis getting his title shot against Sean Strickland in Toronto. Not a fan of either guys, but it's still a great fight nonetheless, all bias aside. And then, of course, Volkanovski versus Topuria confirmed for February UFC 298. But I knew that was going to happen. That was already in the works. And then Sugar Sean O'Malley, there's word on his next title defense. And it's going to be against Marlon Chito Vera. I had thought that Sean might headline in Toronto. I don't know why. I feel like O'Malley should have been headlining this Toronto card, and Dricus and Sean should be fighting in March. I mean, that's just my opinion. I feel like Toronto is just sort of suited for O'Malley and the superstar he is. It's sort of like how Max Holloway always fights in the 6 and all that stuff. It would just be cool to have O'Malley fight in front of the Canadian crowd, but I get it. I think O'Malley might have some Irish in him, and around the time of March is St. Patrick's Day, so I get it, but let's get into all of these fights. Wow. So Dricus Du-Plessis versus Sean Strickland, or Sean Strickland versus Dricus Du-Plessis, rather, since Dricus is in the blue corner. The battle of the two underdogs who weren't supposed to win, who weren't supposed to do well. It was expected that Dricus would get steamrolled by Robert Whittaker. I thought so. It was expected that Sean would get steamrolled by Adesanya. I thought so as well. I thought Adesanya and Whittaker were going to continue carrying this division and that it was going to inevitably lead to a trilogy. But nope. Both these guys are the guys who ended the Whittaker and Adesanya era. And we're like living in some weird like Twilight Zone reality where your two best middleweights now are Sean Strickland and Dricus Du-Plessis. I still don't really think highly of either man, but whatever. They got the jobs done. They're in the position they're in right now. Strickland's the champion. Adesanya let that happen, and Dricus is the number one contender, and he's fighting for the belt. Now, who will win the fight? That's a bit tricky because there's a couple of unknowns about this fight in terms of Dricus Du-Plessis, can he go a hard 5 rounds? He's been known to gas in the past. That rhymes. But yeah, he's been known to have some cardio issues. Now, obviously, that was kind of due to his sinus issues. But still, the Robert Whittaker fight was only a 2-round fight. You know, imagine, what if it was a 5-rounder and Robert Whittaker didn't get finished in the second round? Let's say he didn't get damaged up in the first round, and Dricus just kind of won the first 2 through his aggression, but no real damage, and then it went into the third, fourth, and fifth. It could have been a different fight. You know what I'm saying? So we can't just say that automatically his cardio is just going to be like so much better now. And another issue with Dricus is that he does go hard in his fights. Like, he goes hard, he pushes the pace early, you know, he's aggressive, and he throws power into every single shot that he throws. Now, he was a little bit patient early against Whittaker. He was like a little bit laid back, high guard, kind of let Whittaker come to him in moments. So he's going to want to do that against Sean Strickland. But yeah, he's got to throw a little less than 100% into his punches, because that's going to drain the tank. He might want to take it easy early. But then another unknown, I went a little long over, you know, the unknown with Dricus, but another unknown is Sean Strickland's defensive wrestling. We haven't got a chance to see a whole lot of that, because we know Dricus Du-Plessis is like the more well-rounded fighter. And I think that's what this fight's going to come down to, the cardio of Dricus and the takedown defense of Sean Strickland. Because I think Sean Strickland overall has better cardio, should be better over 5 rounds. And I do favor him in the stand-up as well. I think he's a better striker, boxer than Dricus Du-Plessis. He's got really sound defense on the feet. But But Dricus Du-Plessis has the threat of the takedown. He's got the option of being able to take the fight to the ground. He's way more physical, really good top control, and the threat of the takedown could definitely open up the hands of Dricus Du-Plessis. He might be able to set up a shot over the top when Sean's worrying about the takedown. So, and one thing MMA Guru actually pointed out in this fight is the way Strickland does pull on punches. Shout out to the Guru. Yeah, like the way he pulls back on shots, there could be an opening for Dricus to catch him, because Dricus throws full force, full extension with his punches. He might be able to land something as Sean's trying to pull away, and he might be able to beat Sean to the punch before Sean can land a counter, and then maybe through that he could drop Strickland and then finish him with ground and pound. I can actually perfectly visualize that, actually. But as far as the grappling, I don't know. It's tough. Because I know Strickland ain't no Darren Till. He actually has grappling. He trains his grappling extensively. I've heard that he's not the easiest guy in the world to take down. Even if he does get taken down, I'm pretty sure he could hold his own on the mat before getting back to his feet. And he's different from Robert Whittaker as well, striking-wise, because there was a lot of openings, glaring weaknesses in Whittaker's game that I should have seen. I should have noticed ahead of the Dricus fight that Dricus capitalized on. Sean is way tighter defensively than Robert Whittaker in the stand-up, and he's a lot more difficult in the stand-up than Robert. I can't believe I'm saying that, but welcome to 2023. I never would have imagined myself regarding Strickland as a more difficult stand-up guy than Robert Whittaker. But hey, hindsight 2020, right? I mean, the fights with Adesanya pretty much says it all. I mean, Robert Whittaker lost to Izzy twice and struggled with the stand-up of Izzy and couldn't neutralize his game. Sean Strickland did. So that should tell me that going up against Dricus, he should do better stand-up-wise against Du-Plessis, struggle a lot less against Du-Plessis on the feet than Robert did. However, Dricus Du-Plessis, he's got that toughness. And he will wade forward. He will go forward, and he's not going to let Sean Strickland walk him down like Adesanya did. He's more aggressive than Adesanya, and like I said, he's got the threat of the takedown as well that he can lean to. And Sean Strickland is very square in his stance as well, so that could leave him a little open and a little vulnerable to be double-legged to the canvas by Dricus. But, we'll see at the end of the day. I don't really have an official prediction. This fight could go either way. I'll save that prediction for later, and I guess I'm going to be seeing this one live. I mean, I don't really like either guy because I'm bitter that Strickland beat Adesanya, and I'm just not the biggest fan of Dricus Du-Plessis. I'm hoping for a double knockout, but it's going to be interesting to watch this fight live in Toronto, and all bias aside, this is going to be a great fight, entertaining fight, and I'm looking forward to it. Now, moving on to Alexander Volkanovski versus Ilia Topuria. I've talked about this fight like so many times. But I think Ilia is going to be the one to get the job done against Alexander Volkanovski. And the odds are now further in Topuria's favor. Alexander Volkanovski, if there was a time gap between his fight in July against Yair and the February fight that he's going to have with Ilia, my opinion might be different. If he didn't fight Islam in between then and get knocked out at the age of 35, my opinion might be different. I might edge Volk. But seeing as he's 35, he's just been brutally knocked out. February is still a relatively quick turnaround. I just don't think we're going to see the most dangerous Volkanovski in peak form. Whereas I feel like Ilia, this is his moment. And we're going to see Ilia at his absolute best. And I feel like it's just going to be one of those things where it's just meant to be. Even if Alexander overall on a good night is better than Ilia Topuria and maybe wins that fight more times than not, I just think February 17th, 2024, that's going to be the day that Alexander Volkanovski's reign in featherweight comes to an end. And we're going to get our first Georgian UFC champion. And not like all these other factors aside, I just think style-wise, Ilia also has a really good chance. I mean, this is the first time Volkanovski in a while is fighting a guy who's short and stocky like him and has a power advantage over him and can probably match the speed that Volk has at featherweight as well. I think Volk still might be slightly faster than Ilia Topuria, but Ilia is fast enough to keep up with him, to get in close. He's not a taller guy having to figure out how he can get in on the short guy. He's the short guy matching Volk's height, so getting close in these exchanges in the pocket shouldn't be too challenging. He's equally as well-rounded. He's got the threat of the jiu-jitsu if they do go to the mat. So I think Volk's going to want to keep it standing, but even standing, that's going to be tough. But I mean, okay, to Volk's credit, ways he could win this fight, he's got to stay out of the pocket, stick that jab in Ilia's face, and Ilia is open to leg kicks, and if Ilia doesn't tighten that up, Volkanovski could definitely capitalize on that, and it could be a problem. Like, Volk could simply defeat Ilia with a jab and leg kick alone. We're just going to have to see. But will Volk's ability to take a shot be there? Because at some point, Ilia is going to land one of those bombs on the chin of Alexander Volkanovski. And again, Volk just got knocked out last month. February ain't too long from now and ain't too far from when he just got finished by Islam. So he could be better, but he might not be the same. And then once he does get cracked, it could be it. And maybe Volkanovski won't have the same ability to recover like he used to. But we shall see. We're going to find that out February 17th, UFC 298. But I'm going to go with a new champion here, Ilia El Matador Topuria. And his odds just got better. Now, Sean O'Malley versus Chito Vera, UFC 299 in March. This is going to be an interesting rematch, but I picked O'Malley to win last time, the first time they fought in 2020. And I'm going to pick him again. I think both guys have massively improved since the first fight, but I think O'Malley has definitely improved a lot more. And I think, honestly, as long as his leg kicking defense is tightened up from the first fight, which it is, because that's how Chito beat him the first time, is a leg kick to the peroneal nerve. O'Malley's leg shut down and he got pounded into the canvas. 9 times out of 10, I don't think that happens. Not to say that Chito Vera doesn't have any other path to victory against O'Malley, because he does. I mean, let's be real. Chito Vera is very tough, so it's unlikely that he does get knocked out by O'Malley. And he's got great 5-round cardio, and he's been 5 rounds multiple times. He's got that 5-round experience over O'Malley. And the late rounds, that's his wheelhouse. O'Malley's never been in the championship rounds before, and he is known to kind of slow down. And Vera gets better as the fight goes on. And it's going to be difficult for O'Malley to pitter-patter Vera for 5 rounds straight, especially with how dangerous Vera is as the fight goes on within 5 rounds. It's very hard to just completely dominate and shut down Vera for 5 straight rounds. Without him doing some kind of damage, unless you're Corey Sandhagen. But Corey was mixing it up with wrestling, taking down Chito Vera in moments, clinching him, so Vera wouldn't really have much of a chance to have those big moments on the feet. But O'Malley does not offensively grapple, which actually does make this interesting. However, I just think that O'Malley is the better, more talented fighter, more polished striker, and a better pure boxer than Chito Vera. Chito Vera is an open target. He's kind of a punching bag in his fights. He does get hit a lot. He was getting pieced up by Rob Font before, stealing rounds with knockdowns to win a decision. And, same thing with Cruz. Cruz was tagging him a lot. But then, of course, Vera being Vera, late in the fight was able to come back and get the knockout win. But I just don't see him doing that to O'Malley, but he could win just through lasting in the fight. Maybe O'Malley punches himself out early, slows down, and Vera amps up the pressure and just stays in his face the entire time. Maybe he could crowd O'Malley and maybe end up rallying to win a decision. Maybe he could win a late TKO against Sean O'Malley, but I see O'Malley having a composed game plan, not throwing too much into his punches early, and just being able to sort of pick apart Vera for like the first few rounds, and then maybe the last couple of rounds he might slow down a little bit, stay safe of being caught by anything, but 4 and 5 go to Vera, and then O'Malley wins like a 48-47 decision. Very probable out. But I just have a feeling it's going to be a split decision, though. Every time I thought of this rematch, I'm like, this is going to be a hard fight for O'Malley. I see Vera making Sean look bad, but Sean getting it done. But do not be surprised if it's a split decision and we hear Anu and O'Malley and his fans end up being extremely salty, and O'Malley claims mentally undefeated ×2. I just feel like this fight, like O'Malley's so good, and I see him beating a lot of guys in this division, and he's beaten better opponents than Vera. He's beaten guys that I don't see, Vera being able to beat, but still, it could just be one of those styles make matchups things where, like, O'Malley can beat everyone else, but Vera's like that one guy who has his number. I kind of get vibes from that fight, but I think O'Malley will get the job done. I just think over 5, it's going to be difficult. If it's a 3-round fight, O'Malley 29-28 decision or 30-27 decision on lock. 5 rounds, a little less certain, but I'm still rocking with Sugar but I can't wait. Although I understand a lot of the fans aren't really happy about this, because I get it. There's more deserving contenders like Sanhagen and even Merab as well. And Corey's actually got a win streak going versus Vera coming off 1 win after losing to Sanhagen. And he's pretty much in this position because Corey's injured. But Corey said he'd be ready by March. Yet in March, they're booking this fight. It's kind of messed up, but business-wise, this does make sense. I get why the UFC's making this matchup. And I'm excited nonetheless. I'm excited for all 3 of these matchups. Let me know your predictions for these fights in the comment section down below. Like and subscribe, and peace.